We've gathered over here, above all, to thank God for the gift of Mar Joseph Powathil, a friend, a mentor, a leader. Thank God for the gift of Joseph Pawatil to the church in Kerala, to the Syro-Malabar Church, Church in India, and the Church Universal. I feel particularly honored to have been invited by Archbishop Thomas Tarail to this function to share my few thoughts. I was closely associated with him. I was much junior to him. I was appointed bishop when he was already president of the CBCI. But for many years, almost 20 years, we were together on the standing committee of the CBCI, and we had very similar views on practically every subject. I would say he's a person, a man who was firm in faith, clear in his identity, was courageous in witness, and humble in service. A man endowed with many qualities of head and heart, which he developed because of his own formation at home, formation in the college, formation in the seminary, formation in the presbyterium. And he went ahead to be a good leader of the church, not only in Kerala, the church in India. A man who was, I would describe as intellectually very honest. A man with a sharp mind who saw a point and had the courage to express his point and not give up persistently until he was convinced of the opposite. He was a great asset, a crown of the church. We described over here. I would say he's a very precious jewel in the crown of the Church of India. We miss him, but he continues to intercede for us. Archbishop Powathil led the church in India, led the church, head of the Diocese of Changanacherry, was president of the CBCI, and whenever the need arose in India, he rose to the occasion, taking up the leadership, giving the right direction. In the latter years, I remember we were discussing the national education policy, and many of us, the church was concerned that the church, which was a pioneer in education in Kerala, in India, cities and villages, was somehow being marginalized. Archbishop Powathil took the leadership in the many committees at the Kerala Bishops' Conference and made sure that the church's voice was heard, not out of a sense of vindictiveness or anger, but in justice and because he loved the country, a man who was very patriotic, a person who wanted the country to be the leading country, and a person who felt all of us are responsible for this. As our Beatitude Raphael Tatil was speaking about communications, Cardinal Kovakat was speaking about his qualities, Professor Syriac Thomas speaking about the Constitution, it struck me that our last CBCI meeting earlier this month, just over 2 weeks back, took up the Constitution and the Gospel as its topic. He had mentioned he had begun working on this already. I have no doubt that Archbishop Powathil was a man ahead of his times, a man who saw the future and worked towards the future. He saw the close connection between the constitutional values and the gospel values, and he was able to interrelate them. Can I say that he was a prophet? Prophets are ahead of their times. He was a prophet. He had opposition, but he had supporters also. But he knew, he was a man, I was saying, firm in faith, clear in his identity, generous in his witness, but humble in all he did. A man who left his mark on the church, on everything he touched. A man who glorified whatever position he had because he was a man of service. We are here today to begin this foundation, inaugurate the foundation. The establishment of this foundation is an indication of our assertion of acceptance of the values. It's an indication of the church in Kerala and the church in India, once again affirming, confirming the vision of Pawatil. Archbishop Pawatil was a man with a vision, with a mission, and with a passion. The vision of a church that made its full contribution for the country. The vision of a community that put itself for the service of the people, making our people proud. A man who had a vision of liturgy, ecclesiology, theology that was updated and more suitable to our times. It was his mission, which he gave himself as a leader of the church, as a bishop, as an archbishop, to make this a reality. And he worked hard for it. A man who would not compromise because for sake of political correctness. He was a man with a passion. All of us who knew him knew that he worked dedicatedly for what he saw was what the Lord wanted him, what society wanted him, what the church wanted him, what the Holy Father mandated him to do. And that he did. The establishment of this foundation, I think, is also an expression of a commitment on our part. All of us who have gathered over here to support it, to endorse it, and to launch it are making a commitment that we agree with his vision, that we endorse his mission, that we want to be part of it, and that we want to ourselves to burn with the same passion. A foundation like this, we hope, will encourage scholarship among experts to develop theology, to develop pastoral practice. A foundation like this, I hope, will promote dialogue among different churches, among different religions, different faith, and people of no faith, so that we can together build up a better India, making the church more vibrant, more dynamic in the presence. We pray this foundation will help in the training of young leaders, men and women of caliber, not only among the clergy and the religious, but also among the laity, so that they can make their true contribution. This is what Pope Francis consistently spoke of when he left his legacy of synodality, which Pope Leo now has been endorsing and promoting gently once again. We also hope this foundation will serve to revitalize the church in Kerala once again with different principles. But we cannot remain rooted in the past. Archbishop Powathil was a man who insisted on rootedness. He was clear of his identity, rich of the church, rich in tradition, with a great ecclesiology and theology behind it, and he wanted the church to understand that. But we must go ahead also. And this is the challenge before all of us this evening and from today onwards, to make sure that this beginning which he did of making the church more relevant continues. We cannot be rooted in the past, but we cannot stay only in the past. The church has got greater challenges, bigger challenges, newer challenges. The Holy Father spoke in his very first meeting with the cardinals on artificial intelligence. At the very moment in Delhi, there are discussions about it. The church has got to face these new challenges. And these, I hope, I expect, and I challenge our foundation that we are launching today to respond to the times. with courage, with vision, with passion, dedication. May this foundation keep alive the legacy of Archbishop Pawatil. May it build on it. May it build a better church, a better India. God bless you and congratulations.